This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Greetings all, hope you're well. I've got a conversation with Tony Foresta from the venerable thrash stalwarts Municipal Waste to share with you. This is an interesting chat, this one here, because I thought it was going to go awry even before things started, and you'll soon find out why. Before we get to the conversation though, we've got to do a couple of things. First of all, the catalyst for the conversation is due to the launch of a new album by Nuclear Blast, by Municipal Waste, on the Nuclear Blast label. It's titled Electrified Brain. It'll be out July 1, 2022, and to celebrate the album's release, we're going to hear a tune titled High Speed Steel. Once that has finished, we'll dive into the chat as usual. Let's go.
I just spilled coffee everywhere.
Oh,
can you hear me?
I can hear
Give
you.
me 3
Tough
seconds
break.
to clean this shit up. Oh my
Go for
god, dude. Fuck.
Oh, what a way to start.
Literally right when the fucking Zoom meeting started.
Oh,
Fuck.
shit. I've done that before, if that's any consolation. So I feel your pain, brother.
Holy shit. Give 1 second. It's like pretty catastrophic.
Oh, Jesus. It's all right. Take your time, mate.
I'm grabbing a towel real quick. Well, give me 3 seconds.
No, it's all good, mate. No
Oh,
worries.
dude, it fell in the cup holder, and it's like
no.
just a fucking little.
Oh, shit. It's in, so you're in the car. So,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus, mate. Yeah.
Oh, shit, man, that was crazy. Okay, all right.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's not good, mate. Yeah, you're just at the beginning of a bit of a block of calls too, aren't you?
What'd you say?
You're at the beginning of a block of calls as well, aren't you? You got to cut next few hours, I think, are taken up with calls, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, shitload. It's all good. I'll just get some coffee after this one.
All right. Well, what a way to start. Gosh, I don't think I've started. I've done almost 700 of these now. I've never started that way. That's interesting, mate, so I've got to hand it to you.
Could you hear me screaming? I don't know if you got to hear me scream at the top of my lungs during that.
I didn't hear the scream. I just heard the very understandable frustration with the situation.
Fucking wild, man. Wild.
Well, yeah.
What sort of worse shit happened to me?
Well, just out of curiosity, what sort of car do you drive?
I drive a Kia Soul.
A Kia Soul. I did. You can't get them anymore, can you? They don't make them.
I'm not sure. I see them everywhere. It's like they're kind of cheap cars, but like they're like good, but they're like cheap. You know, you get them new, and they had the commercials of like Gerbil driving them like a few years ago. Maybe that's why I thought the gerbils were cute. That's why I bought one. I don't know.
Well, it's a proven advertising marketing strategy, you know, pairing products with animals. It all works.
Yeah. Works for me.
Well, look, I'll kick things off. So, it's a hell of an introduction. I hope the car's okay, and I hope you didn't get burnt too. That's the other thing.
No, it was iced coffee. It's just my car's probably gonna smell weird.
Yeah. Oh, well. Mate, go to the detailer afterwards after the calls are done.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, look, let's talk about album number 7 for you, if I'm not mistaken. That's Electrified Brain. So lucky number 7, maybe not so lucky number 7 after the spilled coffee, but Electrified Brain. Look, I believe it contains the essence of what makes the band great, which is mosh-worthy, grooving thrash riffs that Scott Ian would probably try to steal if he could, paired with your thrash metal Sergeant Slaughter vocal. What do you think? Have I given your music a worthy descriptor, particularly for this album here?
I never heard my vocals compared to Sergeant Slaughter, but as a wrestling fan, I take that as a compliment for sure. I actually met him a couple of years ago.
That's cool. I actually think you guys and wrestling would be a good partnership. Has that ever come up after your 4th or 5th beer with Ryan and the rest of the guys?
I mean, I worked for WWE like a year ago. I spent most of the time during the pandemic. I worked in the Thunderdome for WWE, so I was actually like in the bubble with the wrestlers, which is pretty crazy. I like the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. That was in the Thunderdome. I was like the only spectator at it because I was off work.
Oh gosh. Okay.
But yeah, me and Phil are big wrestling fans. And then I got the job with WWE a few years ago. And then, of course, once they went back on tour, I quit because I can't tour with a band and then tour with WWE at the same time. I chose to do my own shit, you know?
Yeah. What were you doing with them? Like what job were you doing for them?
I started working in the catering, basically like dishwashing. And then I kind of moved up the ladder and eventually was like doing like runner stuff. By the time it was over, I had a van and was like doing like helping like stock the dressing rooms and get the food for the wrestlers and get all the shit for the dressing rooms. Yeah, it was cool. I had a fucking credit card and a WWE credit card or like a Sam's Club card and a Costco card and I had a van. It was really fun. I helped set up WrestleMania. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is where the Thunderdome was for maybe a year. And then they had the WrestleMania in Tampa. So we split up the crews and I went and did the WrestleMania setup. And that was like 3 weeks in Tampa. And that was really awesome too. So after WrestleMania is when they were, no, that's not true. Wait, was it? I can't remember. I ended up working in Tampa too. I stayed with them when they left and moved to Thunderdome, and I went with them. And then after that, I stopped working because I fucked my knee up. I needed to get surgery, and I had to start getting ready to play shows again.
Did they know who you are? I mean, there would have been a lot of crossover there. A lot of people who follow wrestling and metal fans as well.
Rhea Ripley, we hung out. We met. Like we talked a couple times. We didn't really hang out. We went to like an NXT thing backstage and hung out for a little bit. But I worked with some of the NXT people too. But Shauna Baszler knew my bands, which I thought was funny. MVP knew who I was, and who else? There's a couple others that actually knew of Municipal Waste. Aleister Black, but he wasn't. I think he went to AEW. He wasn't there. And like I knew Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was an Iron Reagan fan, but he wasn't. He didn't. He only wrestled WrestleMania. When he was at WrestleMania, he was like looking for me, but I was fucking running around like a madman. But yeah, no, I did. Not a lot of them were like big thrash metal fans or knew. I also had to wear a mask the whole time, so nobody like recognized me or anything.
Yeah, it's a bit like that back then. Yeah. Well, it does hint at the fact that there could potentially, now that you've had some exposure to that part of the world, that there could be some crossover for you in that your music could. Well,
we're doing a t-shirt, a t-shirt with House of Black or Aleister Black's company. I didn't know why I'm saying Aleister Black, but it's with those guys.
Sweet.
But that should be coming out real soon too. So that's a little bit of wrestling crossover right there.
There you go. Gosh, that was a.
It's Black Mass is the clothing line.
Black Mass. Okay, I think it's
which is Tommy, who was Aleister Black. That's
Yeah, sweet.
Sorry, I spilled my coffee, so
Oh, it's understandable, brother. Don't worry. Yeah. Well, this conversation will take it wherever you want it to go. But I will say that on Electrified Brain, you just keep bringing the riffs. I mentioned it up top about the riffs that Scott Ian had tried to steal, and I mean that. I mean, this is. Some of these riffs could have come from State of Euphoria. Insofar as they're just catchy as shit, but they're fast too at the same time, but they don't lose any of their groove. So do you and how does it work? Do you and Ryan, do you workshop the riffs? Because you guys have just got this knack going.
It's really like everybody, man. It's so weird. There's shit that I pulled out of the trash can that wasn't even supposed to be on there. And I was like, that riff's too fucking catchy. We got to use it. And we would rework it into songs. Phil also writes a lot of riffs. Nick, our guitar player on this record, contributed a lot. It's really everybody's kind of throwing shit in there and seeing what works. We like to stick with the format of throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And a lot of it usually does because we have a good ear for that stuff. But yeah, we definitely like to mix it up as far as writers go. I mean, shit, dude, I was even having our drummer help write lyrics for this record, which he's never done before. But yeah, like Ryan wrote lyrics for a couple songs. I mean, we have everyone contribute on every aspect of the band. It's like having there is the problem of having too many cooks in the kitchen. But in this case, and we were actually just talking about this, where we kind of all figured out what we excel at because we've been a band for so long, and we know when to step up and to contribute and when to just kind of sit back and let somebody else do their part, and we've been around each other long enough to where we know where each person has their strongest attributes.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you trust each other.
Yeah, and that's definitely a thing that comes from being in a van and a bus around each other for 22 years,
How do you resolve conflict if it ever comes up?
Sometimes we slam each other up against the van or make fun of each other. Sometimes we just patiently email about it. Text roasting is also another fun way of working out problems. But no, I mean, we're pretty level-headed for the most part. It depends on how much booze we're drinking.
Do you go through periods of abstinence on the road because you have to? You just find it keeps things a bit more calm and stable?
For what, drinking?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it keeps things calm and stable, but keeps things interesting for sure. It definitely helps the time go by, which sadly I think sometimes you dig into that a little too much. When you miss being home, you kind of get drunk a little bit too often because you're like away from where you want to be. And that's sad, but sometimes that happens, but not often.
Yeah. Hey, what's the strangest or weirdest thing that you've seen on tour? Because I imagine you've got some stories to tell on that front.
That's a pretty common question that we get asked, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you that we get asked that question so much that we make up shit and lie to people to interview us because we like. Yeah. We'll are kind of just sick of answering that question. But I will say, I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but I do actually, and I do have a crazy fucking story to tell you because it just happened to us like 3 days ago. We played in 4 or 5 days ago. Anyway, we played in Minneapolis. We just finished a tour with Integrity, and we saw a fucking bear get hit by the car in front of us. Literally a gigantic fucking bear. Wow, and it got the car in front of us slammed on the brakes. So it didn't like run it over or kill it. It just agitated it, right? So like it fucking smacks this fucking bear, and everyone in we're in a van, and we were all like, holy fuck, like we all saw it. We were like, oh my God. So the interstate traffic's just fucking stopped. And we're about 5 feet away from this very agitated fucking bear that it just kind of looked up down on the ground and just kind of went, like made this crazy moan. And it was really sad. And I was like almost being stupid, and it was like, oh, let's get out and see if it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, it was kind of like laying there. And then I was like, everyone stay in the fucking van. And it kind of moaned, and then it got up and walked away kind of fast. And we're like, oh, it's okay. It just got bumped really hard. But I've never been that close to something so large and scary that could kill me in a second. That was that agitated. It was also really fucking sad. And the bear was beautiful. It was a beautiful bear. But it was like hot out and dirt and flying. It was just fucking weird. But honestly, that was one of the craziest things I've seen on the road in a really long time.
Was it I'm not familiar enough with the different types of bears, but I know there's black and brown bears in North America. So
I think it was a black bear. But it was a very large one.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're not as violent as the brown bears. So you might have had a chance if you'd gotten out of the car.
Well, I wasn't going to take that one. You can take that one.
I wouldn't have done it either. Don't worry. It's like your bears are our snakes in terms of you just don't mess with them. Just leave them bloody be.
Dude, it was like, oh man, I almost got bit by a snake the other day too. Y'all live in Australia though, so you probably have bigger problems than that going on.
Nice bloody snake. They've bitten my cat before, the bloody things. Yeah, they're pretty normal. It's you just got to be really careful where you step when you get off the beaten track around here. That's all. But tell me about your snake story. What happened there?
Well, I live in Florida, and I was like taking a shower at a pool, and the knob was like close to the ground, and I didn't realize, but there was like there under the deck was like a snake hole, and it was like fully out, and it was getting ready to go back in the hole, but right where the hand knob was literally where the hole. It was like 3 inches from the fucking snake hole. It's hard to explain. I can show you a picture of it or whatever. I can send you a picture of it, but yeah. So I stuck my fucking hand there, and the snake is startled just like I am, and my hand is like inches away from its mouth, and it just kind of looked at me like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And we both were like, "Ah!" Jumped down the hole, and I fucking fell back. But yeah, I got that shit. I'm not used to, because in Virginia they're not as like prevalent as they are here. They're everywhere in Florida.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, mate. Sounds like you've been in the wars in the last few weeks. I mean, the coffee spilled, brown bears almost attacking you, bloody snakes. It's all been going on.
It's just wild, man. You got to be on edge. You got to keep your head on a swivel when you're Tony Foresta.
You do, mate. Yeah. Hey, here's a question I hope you don't get too often, but I feel as though there's some misconceptions about the band, and meaning that I don't know who it was who I spoke to, but I brought you guys up, and they mentioned that you weren't a serious band, and I can't remember who the hell it was now. It wasn't someone prominent. It was like a local musician. And I said, what do you mean? You know, I mean, these guys have been doing it for 25 years or something. I mean, they're doing it. They're making a career. And in terms of thrash metal and relatable thrash metal with some energy, you know, with some character, you guys are the king of the hills. So what do you think the biggest misconception about the band is out there?
But there's a lot of people that take themselves way too seriously. And they also maybe you know, get into metal, and if it's not black metal or dark, then it's not serious. And I mean, it's another thing too, where if you have a sense of humor with your music, you don't get taken as seriously. Me and Phil, between Iron Reagan and Municipal Waste, before the pandemic, over 8 years, we played over 200 fucking shows around the world a year. Not 200 shows a fucking year. We worked our fucking ass off. We take our riffs seriously. We take our music seriously. We take our songwriting seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. And that's the sad thing. A lot of people that are into metal, they take themselves a little too seriously, and they think they're the shit. And sometimes you just gotta chill a little bit and enjoy yourself and enjoy music, and stop worrying about everybody. So I don't know. It's just it bums me out, because I see other bands that have a sense of humor that don't get taken too seriously, and I get it, you know, but every band doesn't need to fucking sing about doom and gloom all the fucking time. It's almost trendy now to be like that, and I just think I've never really followed any of that shit, and just did what we like to do and have been ourselves, and we've been pretty transparent about who we are. We like to have a good time. And I feel like that's more real than any of this facade of gloom and doom that people try to put on to be a serious musician, if that makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think you're authentic. I think that's what it is, and I think that comes across in the band's music. The riffs. I mean, this also too, working with Arthur Risk as well. He doesn't fuck around. So if you were a fuck around band, he certainly wouldn't work with you.
Right. And, you know, most of those people that say shit like that, they eventually come around. People will be like, oh, man, I used to hate you guys, because they don't get it. You know, if you see a band smiling in their photos, you kind of get pissed off about it. And I don't know why. That's just the hater in this scene a little bit. And that's kind of a bummer. But, yeah, hopefully one day we'll shed all that cool guy bullshit and just kind of look out for each other and try to support it all.
Agreed, yeah. Well, look, I'll let you get back to cleaning up the coffee there, mate. Thanks so much for the conversation. All the best with everything. I hope to see you down here soon.
Yeah, man, it sounds like you really dig the record, and I really appreciate that because we worked our ass off on it, and I think especially our friends down under, I think they'll dig it. It's a summer fucking rager, so hopefully by the time summer comes to you guys, it'll be good and ready.
Oh, I hope so. I hope to see you down here in summer. To your point, yeah, that'd be great, especially. We don't really have too many festivals these days, but you guys are a festival band. So if ever there's an opportunity for you to come down on that front, you'd really give it that kick in the ass that a lot of festivals need.
Oh, we'd love that. That would sound like a lot of fun.
Fantastic, mate. All right, well, best of luck with everything, and thanks for the chat.
Hell yeah, man. Cheers. Have a good one.
You too. Catch up.
Bye.
I thought Tony recovered remarkably well at the beginning of that chat there, given so much coffee had spilt throughout his Kia Soul. I can tell you now, it is one of my real phobias, dropping a full cup of liquid in the car. I've got kids, you see. As many of you long-time listeners will know, I regale tales from the life of my family occasionally, and one of them is that I have this real thing with them around liquid in the car, because kids and liquid, they don't mix at all. Believe me, I've got a nephew who runs around the house here with Ribena. You guys in Europe and North America have Ribena. It probably comes from North America, but anyway, he tears around the house with a cup full of Ribena and inevitably, from time to time, spills the bloody shit. Yeah, that bright red-maroon coloured stuff. Anyway, so yeah, kudos to Tony for figuring things out there and realising that the show must go on. If you like that chat, there are many more just like it over at scarsandguitars.com. Follow the links as well in the banner. If you'd like to read my book, Scars and Guitars, Tales from the World of Heavy Metal and Beyond. If you do buy the book, well, you can try before you buy from a marketplace, but if you do complete the purchase, please do hit me up, because I want to thank you personally. And here I am. I'm going to hand over to myself to tell you a little bit more about the book. If you're curious, until next time, have a great one.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
You know, if you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, you know, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, you know, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John 5 answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
You know, my name is John 5, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot.
And we get the lowdown on Trey Exagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.